morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. Today, we're going to talk about that dirty birdie word. Like nobody likes to hear it. Nobody likes to do it. But like, y'all, we're in business. It's called sales. We have to make sales in order to survive in our business. So why do we feel like that's such a dirty birdie word, right? We always feel like, oh, I don't want to be that slimy salesperson. But guess what? Like, we got to master this, or, we will probably not create the sales that we want in our business. And who wants that? So today we have a special guest that has created millions of dollars in sales, and she helps other people do exactly the same thing. So if you feel like you're struggling with sales, and you do feel like it's the dirty birdie word in your business, then you are in the right place today. Super excited to have Renee with us. And as you guys are coming in, let me know. Like, I'm decorated all up for Christmas here on the show. What is happening in your world with your holidays? Did you get after Thanksgiving? Are you like me? Like the Thanksgiving day, I'm like, all right, tree time. Some people decorate before, but I decorated like literally Christmas. I think no, was it Thanksgiving? Well, technically we had our Thanksgiving on Saturday instead of Thursday. So I guess technically it was Saturday before I created the sale. I mean, I got sales in my brain. I created or put up the tree, did the decorating. So Dorisa, I'm so glad to see you. We got to connect again, girl. So glad to have you here. And we've got I'm just hesitant. I'm sorry. I'm going to say hey, but I'm so hesitant to say your name because if I butcher it, because I probably could. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. And we have Stu in the house. Good morning, Stu. Yeah, like, right. So Renee and I was just talking about this, and we were just talking about it's all relative. Like, here I've got my flannel shirt on. It's 64 degrees outside. It's cold here in Tampa, but it's 64 degrees. And people that are up north and it's like 27 or whatever, they're like, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. But it's all relative. It's where you are, right? It's going to be a big sales day. Yes. So speaking of that, are you guys having, I guess it's Cyber Monday sale, right? I get my days all mixed up here. Good morning. Good morning from North Carolina. Donna, I'm glad you're here. Okay. So just a couple of small things before we bring Renee into and start picking her brain about sales, because you guys are going to get so much value from that. So Chuck is saying, yeah, it's 43 in Charlottesville. So a little bit chillier. Okay, I guess. But yeah, I got my flannel shirt on. I've got to spend the rest of the day after this in the dentist chair. So I was like, I'm going to be comfortable. So anyway. All right, so a couple of small things. On every show, we do giveaways, and today is no different than any other show. But today we're going to be giving away a $15 Amazon gift card, as well as one of our Money is Calling decline or accept. We just thought this was perfect because we're talking about money today. We're talking about making the sales. So that's going to be the two giveaways. One a mug from the Kim store. Say that twice, 10 times, whatever. That would be a tongue twister. The way you win is sharing your aha moments. So get my finger wrong every time. Aha moments are like, wow, I didn't know that. I needed to know that. Have you ever like had that moment of like, or if you knew it, but you needed to hear it again, that's an aha moment. Drop those in down under and share those. We'll put you in the wheel of wow, the wheel of win, whatever you want to call it. We'll draw the winners at the end. So that's how you win. So don't forget to drop in those in that area. Seemed like there was one other thing I wanted to tell you guys. I think that's the biggies. Oh, yeah. No, I have a couple of other small things. One, I want to give a big shout out to our amazing sponsor, Restream. If you are looking for a great tool to go live in multiple locations at the same time, quickly and easily, then Restream is a great choice. And the best part is you can try it for free, the pro version for free for 7 days. And another little birdie told me they had a 50% off today. So you might go check them out at kimgarst.com/Restream. I also have a coupon code for 25% off for life. So you can't beat it if you want to go live in multiple locations, have all your custom graphics like this. We've decorated for Christmas, getting ready. And so we want to be festive. You can do the same. All right. So just quickly making sure I got all my ducks in a row. So Paul is already in this to win it. Look at this, y'all. He wants the Amazon gift card. Don't forget to drop in those aha moments. Okay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about my brand new friend. I just met her a couple of weeks ago. Oh, gosh, it's probably been a month ago now. Time just flies. But we met at another friend of mine, Jody Millwards, which you guys may know Jody because she's been on the show too. We met at her mastermind and loved meeting Renee and realized that she had a skill set that so many of us need. So lean in. We're going to learn from her, okay? So Renee has been a sales professional since 1994 in New York, probably the toughest place in the world to create sales. Making her first million before she was 25 years old. She has gone on to sell millions of dollars in products and services and train thousands to sell for the first time. She is known in her industry as a fun, energetic sales coach who leads with heart. Yes, she is fun. You guys are going to love her. And she's a TEDx speaker who offers training sessions at global conferences, on-demand courses, and virtual workshops. She skillfully breaks down her decades of skills or sales expertise with her one-of-a-kind laugh and learn teaching style. You will certainly gain a new view with the softer side of sales from Renee. So I'm super excited to have her. You guys put your hands together. Now, we got two things we got to do. You got to clap. So this is you're going to have to multitask a little bit. So clap, put in the emojis, whatever you want to do. And she just had a birthday. So do whatever you need to do for the birthday wishes, but it could be a happy birthday. You could do the emojis, you could do whatever you want, but let's help her celebrate a day or two later, right? So welcome Renee to the show, you guys. Hey, Renee.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
That is your special surprise. Like, oh, the birthday surprise. I love it.
Exactly. I was like, okay. I tried one time. We had a guest that had a birthday, and I tried to do the birthday music. Fail. So I was like, ah. So here we go. We got some love coming in.
Thank you.
Here we go. So Deborah's throwing some hats in the air. Lots of Malaya doing the same, hands together and hands and cake. So how you just can't get. And I love this. It don't get any better than that, actually. And clappy birthday, Renee, right? Steve, how clever is that?
I love it. That's awesome.
And then Rhonda says happy birthday, and Chuck says happy birthday as well. All right. So I usually like to start with like kind of your backstory, because I think sometimes people see where you are today and they're like, because they may be in that place too, where they're not quite where they want to be yet. And they're like, might not necessarily have a vision for it yet. So how did you get started, and kind of give us a brief little journey to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Like all people, I wanted to have a career that was going to make great money and keep me entertained, I guess you could say, like be fun. I wanted to have fun and make money. I was on my way to law school when I took a summer job, and it ended up being a sales company that was a third-party sales company that would do the sales for lots of different companies. They had an office in New York. That's where I started. And then history from there. 15 years later, I was running an office with 300 people and really loving it. So from there, I sold that territory and took time off to become a yoga teacher. And then I started a beverage company, and then I sold that. And then I took 5 years off to become a mama. And then while I was deciding, my husband and I were deciding where we were going to educate our child, we bought a book online about homeschooling. And the author of that book has download these resources here. And so I got on her email list. Unbeknownst to me, I was then getting emails from her inviting me to these webinars. And I was like, the author is personally emailing me. Wow. Again, I had no idea that these automations existed in this way. And so I got into the online space through a book that I bought for homeschooling. And this woman was like, listen, if you're going to be homeschooling, you have some time to create a course. And so why not use your expertise to share with other people while you homeschool your children? I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And there the story began 5 years ago. So that's how I came into the online space.
So, our children give us so many opportunities. I mean, seriously, like your story is similar to mine in that, you were on your way to law school. I was on, but they change our lives. They change our focus. In your case, you just threw well, I wouldn't say happenstance because it was intentional, but they through that journey of trying to do the research, you landed on an opportunity that you didn't even know existed, which is just incredible. So, so you got started in the selling space online, or sharing your knowledge. So how did that work initially? Were you just coaching, or did you create the course first? What did that journey look like?
Yeah, great question. So I did not start the course first. No, I just came into the online space and did a ton of research. I was like, people do business here? Like, I'm pulling back the curtain, like, on this entire community that we have, this entire economy, really, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And I was like, people are literally connecting here and buying from each other. And so the first people that I was aware of were these other women business owners inside of free Facebook communities. That's where the author of this book that I bought, that's where she told me to start. Great advice, did that. And what I realized is they were virtual assistants, web designers, copywriters, brilliant women with really great experience, but had no idea how to turn someone's interest or even awareness into a sale. So there was that bridge that they weren't crossing. They were like, oh, someone's available. Here's my offer. And they would just send proposals out, and they would get ghosted, and they wouldn't make money, or they would overpromise, and really the scope creep would go nuts, and they would resent their clients. So all these things were happening. I was like, I have the fix for this. I mean, I wanted to like shake the screen. Like, I know the answer. And so this was in 2016 that I was just doing research. 2017, I incorporated my company online. And that's when I started my own business, really. I started my own consulting that turned into the patterns of that consulting. I created a course so that I could reach more people online. But who knew we had to learn all these other things also, right?
Right. That's the struggle. That's actually why I just created this Design to Scale program, because it's hard to take, if you want to take what you know and be known for it. Like, I mean, like, somebody is going to say, I need to know this, and your name is going to come top of mind, or you're going to come top of search results because somebody's looking for that expertise. Then if you're interested in that, just drop in like known in the comment in the area down under, and I'll get back to you later because I don't want to deviate from that. But this is a core issue, is like, how do you take what you know, because we all know something, and then how does that impact, how can we impact other people with it? It's usually something you can scale. It's usually not just like trading time for money, right?
Yeah.
So now that your business you've had to evolve, right? You've learned, because there's a lot to this stuff. There's a lot of things that you have to figure out. How has your business structure changed? Like, do you have a team now? Mm-hmm. I know we're going to get into sales, I promise y'all, but there's a reason I'm asking these questions.
Yeah. So today I do have a team, and that team does help me with making sure that my business is always publishing. So repurposing my content, making sure emails, social posts, searchable posts. So all that SEO is on my website, on all the podcast places, on YouTube, on Pinterest, and it's all connected back to a searchable source. So we have search, we have social, and of course we have email. I also take a personal approach. So I have a great free community where I am always in there connecting, talking, helping, and whether I'm directing them toward existing resources that we have that are public and free, which there are tons, or if I'm directing them to a program or a course that might help them, like a $97 course on how to build a great Facebook group, or my signature course for selling. It just depends on what their needs are. So that's how my business is structured today.
That's so cool. Okay, so this is a general question, but I think it's
Yeah.
important to lay the groundwork for. So, I mean, it seems like the question would be obvious, but I think there's a lot bigger background on it.
Yeah.
How do you tell if you're being successful with selling? I mean, outside of the sale, like somebody
Right.
pays you, but like, how can you tell that, especially I think when it comes to social media, everybody thinks that social media is the answer to all of their sales problems. But do you have to lay groundwork? What does it look like when it comes to selling consistently and knowing you were successful with it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So in the past, we didn't before we had social media, before we even had email blasts, we were how did you make a sale? You either somebody walked into your business or you walked into theirs. I mean, you had to meet face to face. Most of those interactions did not lead in an exchange of money at that moment necessarily. But it started by you, the seller, asking the other person questions to help them identify their actual need. And then you, the seller, deciding if you had an answer or a solution to their particular problem and or need at that moment. Now, the only difference is that we don't have to personally meet. You can find those questions that I might ask or any seller. So if you sell anything, your services, programs, courses, your YouTube video, your podcast, your social media posts, the emails you send can all help whoever's listening or watching or reading to understand, I hadn't thought of that problem in that way. I do have that problem. And let me continue on by clicking through to whatever this call to action is to help me find the next step to solving this problem.
I love how you said that. So basically, I'm going to sum it up.
Yeah.
Answer the questions that people have or highlight the problems that people have. So when it comes to social media, can you dig into that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Like, do you recommend like doing videos? Do you recommend doing long text posts? Like what would you recommend to talk about the problems that people have? And do you give them just a little bit of the solution so that they know that you have a solution? Or do you just do a call to action? Like, is there a formula? Maybe that's the best way of saying it. Is there a formula for it?
Great question. So this is definitely something that I talk about all the time. So if we are meeting here today and we haven't hung out, we should totally hang out more. So thank you, Kim, for bringing this audience to my attention and vice versa. Is there a formula for video versus long form posts? Let's address that first. I am agnostic when it comes to that because I believe of all the thousands of women that I've worked with, had owned businesses that have phenomenal services, courses, and programs, that if they are crazy afraid of going on video, it doesn't matter what I do to tell them that it's a good idea. It doesn't matter what stats I show them. Believe me, I've tried. If they're just never going to do it, then the world will be a worse place because they have not shared. So I say, write it if you're a writer, video it if you love video or you're okay doing it. Do audio, right? So audio, written, video, all of it works the same. And of course, I encourage my clients to use all three. But at the end of the day, let's get started with sharing problems and solutions. And so to answer the second question is, do you share just the problem and then a call to action, or do you share a problem and the solution? So my answer to that is whether you sell your brain and strategy and consulting, or you sell courses, or you sell programs, if someone is not aware of the problem, it doesn't matter how great your offer is. What matters is that they are identifying themselves as someone who has the problem, and then that you are a possible solution to that. So I don't hold back, but I will say this as a caveat. I shift my problem solution to, I ask questions that will help them identify the problem. So remember, watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where she's like, men are the head, but we are the neck. And so in other words, the buyer is the head. They're going to make the decision, but you are the neck. So you can turn their head to decide, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about that problem in that way. So how I do that specifically is by sharing specific examples. So say I had a client, she had a $1,200 program. She was selling about 10 a month through Facebook ads. And when she started working with me, she wanted to go from 10 sales to 20 sales per month. And so we used some strategic specific details that would help her amplify and support the money that she was spending on Facebook ads through more social, organic, direct outreach. And so we looked across the savannah like a lioness, and we looked at what I call pan poppers. So we identified her hottest leads. We directly reached out to them in a very strategic, kind, and gentle way and invited them to things that they wanted to be a part of, so that when the final solution was offered, AKA her sales page to her program, they were more susceptible and more receptive to the words that were already written on the page. We didn't change a word on our sales page. We didn't change the fonts, the colors, the branding, anything. We didn't change anything except for that one piece. So if you're also somebody who sells a course or a program and you also want to increase your sales, some questions you might ask yourself are, am I also publishing on social? Am I identifying specific people? Just 5 people a week that I can personally reach out to. What are they? What can I invite them to before I invite them to a sales page that would bring them closer to me, like a live broadcast or a webinar or a networking event or my free community where we can connect and interact in a different way that's not just about the offer that I'm about to make, but as people also. And so social media just allows us to connect as people more, just like I did 20 years ago, walking into someone's business, shaking their hand.
Yes, except we can do it with in our PJs, like, right?
Exactly.
So, and I think that's something I'm just going to pick out one thing that I really loved. And I used to give this advice, but not with the intention of a sale, but this is so powerful. And maybe you don't look at it from the intention of a sale. You
I
look at
don't.
it through a service perspective, right? Like, how can you
Always.
help someone else? But that outreach is so powerful. Like,
Always.
I used to say five people a day. You said 5 people a week. Okay,
Yeah.
that's still good. Like, right? Anybody can do 5 people a week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was given social media advice, it was like to get more people into your network, like to connect more with people. But this is even more intentional, I think, because you're trying to give value, identifying people that might be perfect for your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, and you're not trying to be salesy. You're trying to keep
Yeah.
in mind, I always say serve, don't sell.
Yes.
If you lead with that, and if you don't, there's other mindset issues. So
Right.
let's dig into that just a little bit,
Yeah.
because I would say my next question will tie into the mindset piece. What do you think are the top 3 costly mistakes that people make when it comes to selling their products or services, their knowledge, whatever it is?
Yeah. Well, the top one is that they believe that there's only one outcome that would make them successful. And that goes back to your first question, right? I say every single person that you connect with is either a client, a connector, or a collaborator. And if you connect right, if you connect in the most genuine, intentional way, then someone has the opportunity to become all 3 over the course of your lifespan together. So number 1 is to be open to all the possibilities. Don't just make it about a sale or not a sale. The second thing is when they get on a call with someone, they haven't done any due diligence. They use the call to talk about what they should have talked about already in their emails, their content that they put out there. And so the sales call is not about presenting, hey, here I am, and here's all the reasons why I'm great and it's fantastic. And so do you want to buy it? Because what has happened there is a really one-sided conversation. If I'm going to get on a phone call with somebody, it should be a conversation back and forth, 2-way. And so if there is information that I want that person to know about me before I get on the call, then send it to them before you get on the call. That's what email is invented for. Or send them an email, then send them back to your content. If you've been listening to this 1000%, you can send them to that YouTube video that you've done or that podcast that you've been a guest on. Or again, even if you're not creating it, you're just a guest, it's also just as valid. So number 2 is they use the call for the wrong reasons. And number 3, they don't end the call with a next step. They end the call like, okay, great, I'll send you a proposal. Okay, great, I'll talk to you soon. No, I just want to say this. If you just do this one thing, if this is all you do, if you hear nothing else that I say today or that Kim shares, this is it. Always book the next call before this one's over. Hand on Bible. I state your name. Will always book the next call before this one's over. That alone will make you at least 10 times more than you're making right now. I promise you, it's that good. So what do I mean exactly? Well, if I'm hanging up the phone with someone, but I haven't talked to them ever before, and I don't even know what our relationship might be, are they a client, connector, or a collaborator? Well, then I could book the call for 6 months from now. I mean, hey, listen, before we end, I don't want to lose touch. I just want to make sure we don't, just see each other on social media and wave. That's like being on the highway and waving as we speed by each other at 70 miles an hour. Doesn't really help us. So let's put something on the books. I pick up my phone, open my calendar. Let's put something on the books, for 6 months from now. 15 minutes just to check in, just so we don't lose touch. Sound fair? Okay, great. I'm looking at this. So 6 months from now, your calendar is probably pretty open, right? So is theirs. Better time now than never. Then you have a reason to reach out for the next 6 months. Hey, I was just thinking about you, looked at my calendar for said month, and I just saw your name, and then I looked you up, and I love that thing you just did. It was so great. Right? That's if you're not sure who they are. If you are sure who they are and they're like, send me a proposal, you're like, okay, I'll send you the proposal. But proposals can be misunderstood and there's lots to it. Plus, I want to make sure I got the full picture. Let's do this. I'll send you the proposal, but let's book a call to review the proposal and make sure that I got it right in case there's other options or facets or ideas or thoughts that I didn't get the full picture on, because chances are we're going to hang up this call. I'm going to send the proposal and we both will have more questions. Right. And they're like, yeah, that's totally true. I'm like, I know, I've been here before. And so let's set up a call tomorrow. I'll send you the proposal today. By end of day, we'll set up a call tomorrow. Does the same time tomorrow work for you? Just to review the proposal. And you know what? Even if it's not me, even if this proposal isn't the right fit, I want to make sure that you get exactly what you need. I have a great network. What you need right now, if you hang up, go to sleep, think about it, dream, wake up in the morning and decide this isn't really the next best step for you, I'm okay with that too. But I want to make sure you're taken care of and I want to make sure you get who you need. And so at least let's review that so that I can make sure that I'm invested now, that I can make sure you get everything you need and nothing that you don't. Does tomorrow same time work for you? Okay, great.
I love that. So like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm going to do that. Like I haven't been doing that. And, and so interestingly enough, I feel like that, I'm leaving it open-ended. I'm like, oh, here, you just, you just let me know. Like, that's not a good sales strategy. So what a golden nugget. That's one of my golden nuggets so far. I don't know about y'all. So tell me, yeah, those that are listening or watching, was that a golden nugget or not? Like that follow-up, that one little thing, like she said, if you don't do anything else, do that one thing. So, is there a difference when it comes to like selling in your experience between men and women? Do you feel like they sell differently? And, is there a mindset component in you? Because I feel like there is, but I'm just curious what you think when it comes to how men and women sell.
Yeah, I think that there fundamentally is. I mean, we're just built different. I mean, there's been lots of scientific studies on men and women and how we think and how we look at the world. There's this one study that I always share with my clients where, there was a man and a woman put into MRIs and they were shown videos of different experiences. The woman was shown a video of like gunfighting and her brain just like shut down. And a man was shown the same video and his brain just lit up, Kim raised boys. I have a boy. Even though we don't talk about guns or gun violence in our house, even like 2 years old, my little guy was like, I'm shooting a gun. I'm like, what's in your gun? He's like, blueberries. I'm like, oh, okay. It's just in their DNA, I think, to be a little different, to be a little more, they love and enjoy that conflict. When my little boy plays with his friends, they just love wrestling, right? Now, again, this is generally speaking. At the same time, women seem to show that same video of community and nurturing. Their brain lights up, community and nurturing. The husband is, the man is like, So like if you were to like give an example, my husband, if he was the stay-at-home parent, he would not seek out mommy groups or even daddy groups because he just doesn't feel like he needs that. Whereas I sought that out immediately. So is this a blanket statement for everyone? Possibly. Am I possibly wrong with some people? There's always exceptions. But what I'm getting at to Kim's answer, to answer Kim's question is, yes, women innately sell differently. We receive information differently also. So a lot of my clients are women who sell to other women, particularly. And so all that to say, to ask questions is my best advice, regardless of gender. If you ask enough questions, you're going to get enough of the picture so you can decide what your best advice will be for that person. That's you owning your expertise, saying, listen, I'm here to give him my best advice. Once I get the full picture, I want to give you everything that you need and nothing that you don't. Knowing that buying from you is one of the many possibilities that are available to them. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, it does. And I agree. I think us ladies, and it's a good thing, that we do have that nurturing because we're trying to, a lot of, I think a lot of what we do is based around impact too. Like, we want to help and share and, drive. It's a big driver. It's a big force and not to say that that doesn't happen for men. I'm not, again, this is generally speaking, this isn't like a blanket statement. But I feel my husband's always said this and stuck in my head. He said, and again, this is a mindset thing. That's why I was curious as to what you thought. But he said, men will always overshoot, and women always undervalue. So a guy comes in, like, well, let's just use the example of like you got a job interview, and a guy will always go over what he wants, knowing that so he'll get what he wants for salary. And then a woman will come in and she'll undervalue herself because she won't want to ask for that bigger dollar amount. And I think, it kind of goes back to, again, how we sometimes undervalue ourselves a little bit, maybe more so than guys do. Not always. Again, this is not always a blanket statement, but sometimes it happens. So I want to just encourage everybody, if you have questions, ask questions as we go. I've got, like I told Renee, I said I have questions, but I want to encourage you to ask any that you have as well. So you shared one golden nugget about, well, you shared many things, but the one thing that I think really stood out for me and some of the others was that, ask for the next call, book the next call. But do you have can you lay out 3 of your best sales strategies? And because I want to come back to this, but I keep layering in the social media piece because a lot of times people think social media is it, but it could also be like email or any strategy you have that you think is like, this works, like bust them out for us, Renee.
Okay, great. So I wish it was just that easy, right? Because it's going to depend. So my answer is it depends. So for example, I have one client who owns an agency and she loves local networking. She loves it. And because she loves it, we've worked on leveraging that proximity, that physical proximity that she gets from being in her BNI group and in NAWBO and in Together Digital and on the board of Seroptimist. Now, not all of my clients who own agencies love in-person networking. She does. So based on her natural bend, like what she enjoys doing and what she has seen results from, we've just gotten more specific about how to leverage that proximity. Because the first step, and this is where social media has become very phenomenal for businesses, especially introverts who don't like going out and networking, is it gives us that proximity, because you need 4 things to make any sale ever in any capacity, regardless of where you're meeting people. In person, like my one client who's an agency owner who likes to do in-person networking, or another client of mine who's a website designer that would rather stick a hot fork in her eye than go meet somebody face-to-face or go to some stinking conference and network, literally. So what's the difference? Well, one person is an introvert and just wants to do her work and get paid well. The other person is an extrovert and loves meeting face-to-face and still wants to do good work and get paid well. So the common ground here is you need to find proximity. So wherever you find that, if it's posting something and somebody connects with it, engages with it, that's proximity. The second thing you need, or if you meet somebody face-to-face, that's proximity, right? So proximity can be right here. You're in the chat. You're talking to us. We're live. That's proximity. Second thing is a reason to reach out. Hey, happy birthday. I just wanted to say that personally. I wanted to reach out to you personally and say happy birthday. That's a natural reason to reach out. Or the year's about to end. I was doing some reviews and I wanted to offer up 3 free reviews to people that I know and love. You're one of those people. Would you like to snap up one of these 3 free reviews? If maybe you're a social media manager and you want to give away a free audit or something. So that's a reason to reach out. Ask me questions if you've got about how to get proximity, how to create that reason to reach out, or how to come up with that reason to reach out. The third thing that every sale needs to have a chance, a snowball's chance, and you know what I'm talking about, is education. And that is where social media has really helped us. Chet Holmes back in the 80s helped us understand with his book, The Sales Machine. It's really just about continuing. He was the first person to really talk about continuing education for clients or potential clients, even if they weren't clients yet. He's the first one to coin the Dream 100. But every single sales job I've ever had or ever will have, or anyone that ever hires salespeople, the first thing they do is say, write out 100 people or 200 people that just know your name, that will just answer a text from you or answer an email from you. So that education, once they know your name, then they have to know education about what you do, the problem you solve. And the best way to do that is to share examples, like I've already shared with you. For example, this person who has this, and this person had this problem, and this is what we did to solve it. If you have a similar problem or know somebody who does, do this, call to action, right? The fourth thing that every sale has to cross is indoctrination. So now you've gotten proximity, you have a reason to reach out, you've educated them, and now they understand they have the problem and only you can solve it because they love you, like you, and want to hang out with you more. So those are that's my best sales advice.
Yes, I love it. So I'm just curious about like the indoctrination piece, like education. Okay, got it. Is all three pieces though a part of the fourth? Like, is there certain things in the indoctrination part that you need to do that are separate? Like what is the indoctrination thing? I'm just, I'm
Indoctrination is what you might call social proof. Some people call it social proof. Others call it authority building. So, like on my LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn, I say TEDx speaker, right? Not because I'm it's so fabulous, or even that I teach how to do that, although I could. But the reality is that when I say that, people's eyes light up. So if any one of you listening or anyone who will listen in the future, if you write out, this is an exercise that I take with people, write out 20 things that your favorite Aunt Susie brags about you on, right? Like she was valedictorian, she was this, she was that, she was this, right? So all those 20 things are all true facts, but you don't necessarily need to bring them up all the time. And then bring them up intermittently and see where people's eyes light up. Like, oh, you were that also? Oh, I didn't know that. For example, I had a client, business coach, has 2 MBAs from Yale. I'm like, I'm sorry, an MBA and a master's in ecology and an MBA from Yale. I was like, she's like, oh, it was like 25 years ago. Nobody cares. I'm like, you're a business coach? I think I care.
So it's kind of like authority, it's like that, those things like, I was thinking, I actually had this question the other day. I was in this mastermind and I was like, okay, so I have a master's degree in distance education. Should I talk about that? Like, they're like, yeah, like how many, I don't know anybody who teaches people how to create courses that actually has a master's degree in distance education,
right?
That's known for helping people create courses. Let me restate that. So, because there's lots of people probably that are teaching people how to create courses that have higher education than even I do, but do like in the online space, like do they have that? So that's an authority builder kind of thing, I think. So
that's saying that you have it and then giving the example of this helped me with this one client when we did this. She has thought of it in this way. Now she is, and that's where that helps. Oh,
I gotcha. Yes. Okay. That gives a lot more clarity too. So Nate had a really great question. He says, how do we not overwhelm them when, with all we think they need? Oh man, right? Like,
right. I have an answer. I have a great answer for you.
We always, and the reality is we do. I always say, well, you sell them what they want and then you give them what they need.
Right.
But that sometimes is a barrier that it seems too hard to get to. So what's your thoughts on that? Like what's a good answer to that question?
Well, it's kind of like when, I'm the oldest of 6 children, so I have lots of younger siblings that have asked me for advice. I have, a husband who asks for advice sometimes, a child who asks for advice sometimes. And so that you've lost them when they kind of like, oh, okay, that was way more than an answer than I needed. Why are they asking you for advice? Because you've been there before. Because you've been there before, you're not going to remember what it's like to be new at it or to have that problem because you've already conquered that problem. Like tying your shoe. If you've ever taught someone to tie their shoe, it's hard sometimes to teach them to tie their shoe because you can just tie your shoe. So you have to actually step back and break it down. What's important to them? So my answer to that question, Nate, thank you for asking, is to ask them questions so that we can determine what's important to them. And to Kim's point, I think everybody that's in business ever has always said, yes, sell them what they want, give them what they need. What that means exactly is I will, in my sales closing, I have a very specific method, the RH3 method. In my sales close, I will repeat back the 3 most important things that they feel they want transformation in. Knowing that if they work with me in whatever invitation I'm about to make with them, they will get thousands of results. But those results, even though I think the 3 that they might have mentioned probably aren't as important because I've already been down that road, they haven't. So right now, those are their 3 most important. I need these changes. So I simply say, these are the 3 main pieces that we're going to conquer. These are the 3 main results we're going to get for you. That's what it's all designed for, and many more. So that is what I would do, is ask questions until you know what's important to them, and then make sure that you can give them those plus what you know is important. Does that help
Yeah.
answer that question?
And I think you just hit a really important point. In the sales process, you have to make sure you mention those things, which means you have to listen. You have to listen. And sometimes we get so caught up in whatever our process. And I'm saying this from a place of like, I've done this. Okay. I'm so focused on all the questions that I am asking that sometimes I lose my focus just because I'm caught up in the process and I'm not listening. I'm not paying attention as deeply as I need to. So ask the questions, listen to what they tell you, and then repeat those things back to them, because that it cements that, wow, you're going to solve these problems, or you're going to give me that thing that I've said I wanted. I think that's important, instead of just bypassing that and saying, here's my thing,
Right. And so a lot of the so to eliminate, that's a great observation, Kim, that you're like, well, on these calls, sometimes I get caught up in my process. And so one of the suggestions that I have for individuals that share that with me is do as much as you can before the call. So if someone says, Kim, I want to work with you, I want you to set up a call no more than no, not tomorrow, but like 4 to 10 days from now. And then between now and when you actually get on the call, send them all the things, all the questions that you want them to answer, and information about you, so that by the time you get to the call, you can really get specific. And that's one thing that has helped a lot of my clients actually hire salespeople, is now they only have to have a person that's live on the call for a very short amount of time, or eliminate the sales call altogether, which is my favorite thing.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's what Jody has done, which is kind of fascinating to me. So, okay. So is it possible for us as business owners to actually enjoy selling? Like, what would that look like if, like, from your experience? Because I would bet you, I'm going to say this, I bet you love selling. Like, for
I
me,
do.
it's like buying something, that you really want. It's like an endorphin rush, but not because of the money. It's because, wow,
Right.
I know that there's a person that I now get to come alongside. So it's a totally different, like, proposition. But, like, can we love it? Like, can it be something that we're always doing, always being in, you hate to say sales mode, but yeah, like, if we're leading with value, always talking about the problems, can we get to a place where it just becomes natural?
I think so. And so what I teach my people is 2 things right up front. And if someone's coming to me like, I need help selling, the first thing I make them aware of, that it doesn't matter whether it's $5 or $500,000, the process is the same. So I encourage them. We create usually like a tiny little easy, I call them no-brainer offers, something that's easy to sell because it gives them the understanding that they can sell anything. And it doesn't matter the price, the process is the same. So the second thing I always encourage them to do is to always have something that their business is able to sell. They don't have to be actively selling it, but again, it allows anybody who comes in contact with their email, with them in person, with them in a live stream, on their social media, anywhere that they found you, it gives that person who's come in contact with you, if they are at the right point of their buying cycle, that they could buy something from you this week. So it doesn't mean you have to sell it. It just means they could buy something. So allowing the possibility of meeting you, not only being about connecting and understanding them and getting to know them and nurturing them and educating them, but also having that opportunity to buy something from you.
I love that. And I think that, that's a mindset shift for all of us is, if we show up value based every day, talking about the problems that we know our people have, which leads me to the next question, which I think a lot of people struggle with. Can we sell to everyone?
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, it's a great question. And my answer is, can we sell to everyone? I want everyone who meets you to at least have the opportunity. It's kind of like, when you would chew gum in class and the teacher says, well, don't chew gum unless you have some for everyone. Now, my teacher stopped asking that because my mom, when I was in middle school, worked for Wrigley's. So I was like, well, actually, teacher, I do have a case of gum. And so she then she's like, no gum in the class. I was like, oh, okay. So I want being able to offer something is as one of the many possibilities.
I love that. Okay. So if somebody is in this place where they don't feel like they're like super good at this whole sales process and, they're wanting to like dip their toe, they're wanting to get out there, what would you suggest they do first? Like give people a task that they can do today to start the process of, it could be education or whatever you think would be the easiest path for them to get and it's a rinse and repeat thing. If they do it every day, hey, you could do this and you could start creating more sales in your business.
Here's exactly what it is. And I want to say, before I tell you what it is, our fear of selling is rooted in our fear of rejection. And that is at the base. I mean, that is caveman brain. So back before, we haven't evolved that much, PS, right? If you got rejected, that could mean you, your family, and everybody that you've ever known and loved could die. Because if you were rejected from the community, from the tribe, that meant your food sources, your shelter sources, everything would be gone. Now, today, that's not true, but with the fear of rejection still stands. And so my best advice that you can do today, your homework, and then ongoing, is to ask people questions, because asking that question and knowing that it's not going to get you kicked out of the tribe is going to help you warm up to what actually happens on a sales call. If you're working with me, what actually happens on a sales call is you're just asking questions, and you'll never, ever, ever make an invitation to somebody that doesn't make sense. For example, if you ask somebody, if you sell cookies and you want to sell cookies to your kid's school, I would start by asking questions to the principal or to the teachers saying, how many kids in your class are allergic to nuts? How many need to have gluten-free options? And then you might create a nut-free, gluten-free, maybe soy-free cookie option, and then present that option to the school as a possible solution. So asking more questions is your rinse and repeat. Now, you can do that by texting a friend, texting a former client, texting a current client. How would you describe my business to somebody else? Could be an option, right? Or you could put a post up. If you're a website designer, do you prefer Squarespace or WordPress? And then have people start the conversation about websites. If you're a salesperson, I can start by asking outwardly, well, how do you feel about sales? Drop a GIF below about what your face looks like when you're about to get in a sales call. And so those are the types of questions. They're kind of, I'm doing this, it's like in the peripherals of the actual thing that you might be able to offer them to. And as a last kind of bonus tip, just because you get on a call with someone does not mean you have to make them an offer. I'll just drop it there.
Mic drop, right? So, and now that I'm selling this new charter program that we just talked about just briefly, I see this quite frequently where as I'm asking the questions, it's very apparent in almost every situation. They're either it's a good fit or it is not. Right. And if it is not, do not try to force the round, the round
square peg into the round hole.
Yeah, there. I was like, which way does that go? Is that the egg or the chicken? Like, but the point is, don't try to force it. It's easier. Again, it's not about us. It's not about the sale. It's about how do you come alongside someone and actually give them value, or give them a solution to a problem that they have. And if your thing is not their solution, then find another solution for them. If you know somebody else who could potentially help them, introduce them. Like I talked to this one gal who didn't want to create her own course. She wanted someone else to do it for her. And I'm like, okay, that's not what this is. But I know somebody who does that for people. I'll connect you. So that's the thing I think that's important. It's when you're on that call, just keep in mind, it's not about the dollars. It's about the dollars is a byproduct of the process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I never want to be able to see somebody that I was on a call with who said no and be
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I can't talk to that person. Instead, I want everybody that I've ever talked to be like, that's somebody I know. Hi.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to end weird, you know?
Yeah, and it's an integrity thing too, honestly. Like I think that people, I've heard sales coaches before, and I love that you approach this, but I've heard some sales coaches say, it's a FOMO thing. If you take it away from them, they want it more. Like, no, that's not the intent. Like for me, it's like, I
Right.
think that's like slimy. That's where the slimy comes into play. That's why sales have gotten such a bad rap because people do slimy things.
Even professional salespeople, statistically speaking, get less than 90 days of sales training for their entire career. So if you've ever experienced sales and it felt bad to receive it, just know that that person didn't get the right training. It's not their fault. And if you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be awkward or it's going to be weird or sleazy, all you have to do is work on that skill. It's a learnable skill, just like reading, tying your shoe, learning Canva.
Yeah, learning Canva. That was a good jump. Well, listen, tell everybody where they can connect with you, Renee. Like if it's on social, or if you have a specific place you want them to connect with you, or if you've got something that they would get value from, that they could learn more about you, drop it down and let's talk about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, I have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and I'm on all social platforms. We syndicate all the time. So the best place is just my website, reneehribar.com. Everything that's new. Oh, thank you, Rhonda, for dropping it. Everything that's new is always there. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, seriously, you guys, one, Renee is fun. She approaches sales with that thread. Her podcast that she didn't mention, but I just love the name of it, is Sell Like a Mother. So, and that was my Southern accent there, but I just loved it. And definitely connect with her. I think especially if you feel like sales are like a stumbling block for you, um, because one, I mean, I listened to when I was doing my research to bring her on the show. Like I just her podcast in particular, I thought was super rich because it didn't take a lot of time for me to like absorb. Her podcasts are not an hour long. I was able to get like a quick knowledge. And so if your time is limited, you can still learn from her and get some amazing tips. So definitely go check her out. Let's see. Congrats to Donna for winning the Amazon gift card. So if you'll go to kimgarst.com/winner, we'll get you fixed up. And let's see, the winner of the mug, the Money is Calling mug, is Nate. So Nate, go over to kimgarst.com/winner, drop in the details, and we'll get that stuff sent out to you really quick as a bunny. Another Southern saying. And Rhonda just reminded me, don't forget, we do have the Cyber Monday sales. It's our images, buy one get one free. So if you want professionally designed images for your social media, then that will be a great deal for you. All right, y'all. Well, I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining us. I know time is valuable. Renee, thank you for being here and dropping all your knowledge bombs with us. And again, don't forget to connect with her wherever you find her, because she's going to be a blessing to you guys. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless.
Thank you.